Yo, 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 what up, everybody? Welcome to Keeping It 9450, codename WBB. I'm Daniel Artest. I got K-Dot with me. K-Dot, what's up? This is like our actual live podcast. We are live strictly on Facebook right now. Shout out to everybody in Facebook. Yo, please subscribe to the podcast, like it. We making history. We almost at 30,000 downloads. Just follow us. K-Dot, what's going on with you, brother?
Hey, yo, what up? What it is? What's popping? Everything's all good. You know how we do it. You know how we rock. Listen, you already know why I got the bucket on. You already know why I got the bucket on. It's nothing but New York vibes today because the bucket is bucketing right now. I gotta rock the bucket hat. It's live in New York this summer. You already know what it is. What's good?
You already know. Listen, we're here to talk about the WNBA. Some big signings that's just happening all last week. And then today, we have Breanna Stewart officially signing with the New York Liberty. It's New York City in a building. It's going to be dope this summer in the WNBA. Let's just get right into it, K-Dot. Let's talk about Breanna Stewart real quick, like her Seattle days and her career before signing with New York. We already know what it is. If you are a women's basketball fan, you already know who Breanna Stewart is. She's one of the great ones. Now we actually got two now with Jonquel Jones. Now we added in Breanna Stewart with Sabrina Ionescu. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be real fun, K-Dot. What's your thoughts on Louis' Seattle career, and like how do you rate it amongst like the greatest players of all time?
Yeah, first things first, I want to give a shout out to Stewie. I want to give a shout out to Seattle because when they drafted her, we knew that it would be instant success, if you will. And
Yeah.
I think that coming into an organization like Seattle who has history, look at the ones before her. Swing Cash, when she came in, you got to look at Lauren Jackson, the great Lauren Jackson, Yolanda Griffith, like a lot of those greats, and even the veterans and Tina Thompson coming in after her reign of success in Houston. I mean, for them to get a gem in Breanna Stewart, who was just arguably one of the greatest college basketball players we had ever seen, to have her come in and bring in some of that instant success, it was just incredible. And I got to give much respect to what her career was in Seattle. And of course, Sue Bird, of course, the legendary Sue Bird. She's always going to be legendary and of course, Hall of Fame worthy in our books. For Breanna Stewart to do what she did in Seattle, we're talking about two championships, talking about MVPs, finals MVPs. Like, it's something that you can't ignore. And I just have nothing but high praise for Breanna Stewart because Breanna Stewart, in just what she's in her, this will be her seventh season coming in, if I'm not mistaken, sixth or seventh season coming in. For her to have the accolades that she had in Seattle and is a top 25 all-time WNBA great already. I think we had her it was in the teens. I want to say 18, somewhere in that book. You can't say anything but great things about Stewie, and for her to take her talents back home, because she's from Syracuse. She's already a Syracuse legend. To come back home to the city and to be in the midst of greatness with Jonquel Jones, a former MVP, and Sabrina Ionescu, a former number one overall pick, that is going to be bananas. And I just can't say anything more than just, yo, I just can't wait to see what the summer brings.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm just excited that we got a big three in New York City. They doing things the Knicks couldn't do.
That's a fact. And what's crazy is they doing it across the bridge too. That's the crazy thing. Like, it took them getting away from MSG to do what they're doing now. Now, not to say that they didn't have success at MSG, because there was some successful teams when MSG was the principal owner. For them to come over to Brooklyn and play in Barclays, they're going to have Barclays rocking over the summer. And you're right, they're doing things. They're bringing in the free agents and trading for big name players that, the beloved Knicks can't seem to do right now. Hey, more power to the Liberty for doing it.
Yeah, facts. And shout outs, like before we really just dive in, but shout outs to the GM, Jonathan Kolb, and Joe Tsai, Claire Tsai, Sandy Brondello for locking it down, like actually making this team into a contender. And I'm really happy for them, Kate. I get it. We gotta love everybody. But just us being native New Yorkers, it's just dope that we actually have a viable team that can actually compete for a championship after a long time. After also, when we first started out doing this podcast, remember they only won 2 games.
That's a fact.
Look, K-Dot, it's us, baby. It's us, baby. I'm gonna tell you why it's us, because soon as we started doing this show, we just started sprinkling the glitter, man, on the Liberty. And now look at us. Now our show is blowing up over these past couple of years. And then now look at the Liberty. Look, they got John Quell and they got Breanna Stewart, which is just crazy. Let's talk about them two as a dynamic duo. We'll get into the Three Amigo in a second, but just talk about them two as a dynamic duo and how they're going to coexist on the court together.
Yeah, as you already know, and this is for the people who really dive into women's basketball year round, they've been teammates before. Like, they've truly been teammates before playing in Russia. My biggest thing is I don't think chemistry is going to be an issue at all because they are already acclimated with each other. They've played with each other overseas. In addition to actually Brittany Griner as well before the situation in Russia happened. They understand each other. I truly believe that from a chemistry standpoint, it's not going to be as difficult as a lot of people may think it will be. Because again, when you're playing overseas with certain players, you already have a certain type of chemistry. You already know their tendencies. You know where they like to be on the floor. And I truly believe that it could be something that is more of a easy grain as opposed to a difficult grain. And then on top of that, sometimes the coaching staffs that work in the WNBA, they also work overseas. We know that Sandy Brondello is a world-renowned Opals head coach from Australia and coaches for Australia. From that standpoint, I truly believe, just from a chemistry perspective, is not going to be as hard as what people may believe. I truly also believe that when you have such dynamic forwards that can shoot the ball, that are very versatile, that can defend, that's going to be the biggest thing. One of the things that the New York Liberty struggled with the past 2 seasons had been rebounding. And that's no slouch to Natasha Howard, who actually had been in and out the lineup due to injury, and bringing in Stephanie Dolson last year to spruce up their rebounding, which did improve. It still wasn't to the expectations that we all thought. And I think that bringing Stewie and bringing JJ in, from that standpoint alone, you're already a plus 10 in rebounding. You're already a plus 10 in rebounding, and you're probably more than that. So I think that from that dynamic, that's one thing to think about. And then again, from the chemistry dynamic, listen, again, they've played together. It's going to be just great just to see them two on the floor. But I need to hear from a big himself, a legendary big himself. I need to know your perspective on what these two powerful players will bring to the table for New York.
Legendary big who? Where?
Oh, come on, Stan. Don't play yourself. Don't play yourself.
Me.
Don't
Okay,
play yourself.
Me. Sorry about that. Yeah, legendary post player like myself. Just thinking from a post perspective, it's awesome when you have a player that is equally as good as you that won't get in your way, that don't need to operate on the same block as you. And also somebody that can pass, whether they driving, drawing the defense in and dishing the ball out, whether they could pass for the short jump shot or the short roll on the pick and roll or the high-low, which is like amazing play for two equally good bigs that pass in high-lows. They can just cause they can cause matchup nightmares in so many different ways. Like they can both run and dribble handoff, dribble pick and roll, pick and pop, pick and fade, and then they also can defend at a high level. Think about it. Stewie was just runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year behind Wilson. And we know what John Quell did when Alyssa Thomas was out. She was a double. She was a double crazy. From a post-player's perspective, I just love the fit between both of them. And like you said, them having that history with the chemistry, playing the same team with each other as Russia, I think that it's going to be great, Kate. Like New York City is going to be lit this summer. I just can't wait for us to show up at the Barclays, making it happen and getting right, bro. I'm excited. I'm really am excited. It's dope to have a team like a city like New York having a solid WNBA team and possibly competing for this championship. Like, listen, between the Aces and the Liberty, it's collision time. It's the clash of the Titans. It's WNBA finals or bust right now. Like the Liberty, like the stakes have been raised, the bar has been raised, and I'm expecting nothing less but a finals appearance from both of these teams. And let's talk about the Aces real quick. I know we talked about it a couple podcasts now, but now that everything is set in stone, now let's just talk about the Aces getting Candace Parker, having that lineup of Chelsea Gray, Candace Parker, Asia Wilson, Kelsey Plum, and Jackie Young as well. And also Alicia Clark coming off the bench and everything. What's your final thoughts on the Las Vegas Aces now that everything is set in stone?
Yeah, now that everything is set in stone, I'm telling you this right now. The Las Vegas Aces is who I call death row. And the mind behind all of it is Asia Wilson. Asia Wilson is our Suge Knight. We have the incomparable Candace Parker as Tupac Shakur. You have the incredible mind of Chelsea Gray as Dr. Dre. And then you have the incredible Snoop Dogg, smooth, not going to talk a lot, in Jackie Young. And what I want to see in this dynamic four, and not to mention they also have Kelsey Plum, Alicia Clark just joined, and then they have the rights to Amanda Zawi B on top of that. And listen.
Wait a minute. Is Kelsey Plum Black Eyed Peas?
I don't know. I don't know where I'm gonna put
Michelle.
I'm not sure where I'm putting Kelsey right now, but Kelsey is probably the embryo of Eminem right now, if you think about it.
I got you.
Think about it.
Kelsey Plum aftermath. I got you.
My whole idea of what Becky Hammon can do with many different lineups is just going to be amazing to watch, because you already saw what she did last year, playing that 50 style ball about none in. Sometimes she'll play 41 concepts, 4 out, 1 in, and allowed Asia Wilson to actually be more versatile on the perimeter. Yeah. And to bring in, again, a generational talent in Candace Parker, who can pass, who can defend, who has an IQ of freaking Einstein on the basketball court, that just makes it easier for everybody else to do their jobs. And then when you bring in another WNBA champion in Alicia Clark, who is coming, she is coming off of a season in Washington where the season before she had that foot injury. She was getting herself acclimated. It takes a while, especially for the foot injury that she had. It takes a while. This, to me, and from what I understand, according to reports, Alicia Clark is signing on a 2-year deal. That's from what I understand. I thought it would be more of a 1-year prove-it deal, which would have made perfect sense, right? But for her to have the 2-year deal, that's just as great. And then Candace Parker coming in on a 1-year, $100,000 deal, which she makes it very fair game to open up other opportunities for the Aces to bring in some more players. That was just totally fine in me. But the idea of just having them on the floor together, I just can't wait to see what it looks like, because it's pick your poison. It's literally pick your poison on the offensive end. And then on the defensive end, it's almost the same thing. And it's almost close to credit to the dynamic of what the Liberty will be able to do when you have the two on the back end when it comes to Jonquel Jones and Breanna Stewart. The same thing could occur. You mean to tell me you can potentially have in a finals, and I'm jumping the gun, but in the finals, you could potentially have 4 defensive player of the year worthy candidates in the front court? That is bananas to think about. And I just think from the Aces standpoint, when you have so much firepower there, it's almost, when is May coming? Because you want to see it. You actually want to see them in training camp. I actually want to go to Vegas and see them in training camp right now. That's how excited I am about the Aces.
Yeah, definitely. They have, like with the Aces though, the Aces and the Liberty has, I think they have two flaws. I think with the Aces, one of their flaws is point guard depth at the on the bench side, and also for the Liberty too, they need a faster point guard. And I know that Courtney Vandersloot, she announced that she's leaving Chicago. She's not going back as well. And we know that her name is up in the rumor mill as far as going to the Liberty as well. But you've been like, nah, I don't want to see that. I want to see something else. Share that. And it's actually a great idea too. And it actually, when you really think about it, when you break it down, you do make a great point on it. Yeah, go ahead. Let everybody know what the mind of K-Dot is thinking.
Yeah, a lot of people put it out there that Stewie was going to be a package deal, which was totally false. And at some point, it made sense because they played together overseas. It was a case where even I mentioned that, hey, Stewie might have an option of staying in Seattle and bringing Sloot with her to Seattle and having Sloot, Jewel, and Stewie. That was
Yeah.
a possibility. But from a holistic standpoint, when you're looking at the whole roster point of view, I need someone with quicker feet that can complement Sabrina Ionescu on the defensive end and can also run the point guard position in a manner that the Liberty won't be in all of disarray offensively and defensively. Now, again, offensively, Sloot, she has it. Great. Perfect. Also, she's a 12-year veteran. Those pick and rolls is going to be pretty hard to defend if you put her in one of those pick and roll situations and she comes back to Chicago. Kalia Copper is like, oh, this is barbecue chicken for me right here. I'm thinking if you get a free agent, a Jordan Canada or maybe a Mo Jefferson, but me personally, I think I want Jordan Canada a little bit more just because defensively, from a defensive statistical impact, she is a little bit higher than Mo Jefferson. Shout out to Cerebro Sports for that, by the way. I truly believe that Jordan Canada is a great candidate to be the point guard for the New York Liberty. And on top of that, you can pay her in a manner where you get to keep Benijah Laney at the 3.
Yeah.
And my whole thing is when you have a strong front court in Benijah Laney, Stewie, and JJ, that is going to be tough on the defensive end as well because Benijah Laney can defend.
Yes.
I also believe that with Jordan Canada, she will be able to run the point guard position because she did it in 2020, that championship team in the Wubble. She did it in 2021 when they tried to defend that championship. And she's played with Stewie. She knows Stewie tendencies as well.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense, just in my opinion, as a basketball analyst and also just as a fan of the game. Like, it just makes perfect sense. And in order to get Sloot, I just feel like there's going to have to be a lot of money moves to be made. And unfortunately, it could result into Benijah Laney being dealt. And I don't want that personally. I truly believe that if you can bring someone like a Jordan Canada in, or even a Mo Jefferson and Stewie, they played at UConn together. Again, Mo knows her tendencies as well. And I truly believe that if you bring those two types of point guards in, that would be better from an overall standpoint because, again, you can probably re-sign Sammy Wickham. You said it yourself, DA. If you can get quality shooting and Sammy Wickham re-signing with the Liberty, if you add Jordan Canada or Mariah Jefferson on a contract, I think that suits better than you would if you were to bring in Sloot. That's my kind of like thing about it.
You shut it down. I really don't have anything else to add because you made your points. Like we talked about this on the phone before when everything was going down. And you're right. I think that if you do get if you do get Sloot, you're gonna have two slow-footed guards on the perimeter. And they're gonna get hammered, and you're gonna put a lot of pressure on your front line. And honestly, Kata, I'm with you. This team now, yeah, we got Jonquel, we got Stewie, yes, but this team still works with Benijah Laney. You can't replace that small forward. The only way you could have replaced that small forward if Alicia Gray was involved in this. That's the only way. I like Kayla Thornton. I think she's great, but she's not Bernard Delaney as well. Bernard Delaney is like the epitome of a two-way player that can give it to you 20 points a game on the offensive end and then go out on that wing and guard your best scorer. As well as Kayla Thornton can guard your best scorer too as well. So
Absolutely.
Now imagine you got that coming off the bench. You got constant wing defenders. And as well with Dee Dee Richards, who we need to talk about again. Dee Dee, please be healthy. I'm telling you. Like, please be healthy. I think this is huge for her. And also Michaela Onyenwere off the bench as well that can provide in minutes that she's a Rookie of the Year player. She's a former Rookie of the Year. We already know what she can do. But I really think that it's just going to open up her game. Having these elite talent around her is going to make her a better player. I like what the Liberty can do if they can get Jordan Canada or Mo Jefferson. They got a lot of roster versatility. I feel like, obviously, we know what the Aces are, top heavy. You know what I'm saying? With a little bit of wing defender coming off the bench, but they don't have that point guard as well. Becky Hammond gonna put a lot of. She's gonna run them into the ground, and you don't want that because we've seen the Aces also struggle when they was playing heavy minutes, and they really needed that All-Star break to get back and get their second win and go on and win that championship, brother. But yeah, it's like the point that you made with Jordan Canada and Mo Jefferson signing them, saving the money, but still getting that same production defensively and being quick, having quick feet on the perimeter, that goes a long way. I agree with you on that.
And we haven't even talked about Stephanie Dolson. Stephanie Dolson is still, if I'm not mistaken, on contract with the Liberty. And just like you said, roster versatility. That's huge. That's real important. Because if you look at roster versatility, if you were to just add that point guard in Jordan Canada, right? Remember, Maureen Johannes is still a reserve. Hang Zhu is still a reserve. Like the roster versus roster versatility in it's bananas the way you can think about it. And kudos, I'm gonna say this. Kudos to the Aces for realizing that they need to spruce up their bench. Because again, we haven't talked about Amanda Zawi. They just signed someone out of Australia as well, who is a versatile center and played on that Opal squad in FIBAs. And I mean, her 3-point percentage, I believe it was close to 40% in her season last year. That's more roster versatility on their side as well. But just like you said, if you want to see anything, you want to see some point guard depth. Because we still don't know what they're going to do with Raquana Williams, to be honest with you. And we still need to see what Asia Shepherd and Kirsten Bell is going to do to help spruce up. And let's not forget Ileana Rupert. Yeah. So I think both teams are looking at it from a holistic standpoint, saying, listen, yeah, we might be a super team, but you're only as good as your bench.
That's true.
If we can spruce our bench up, I think we'll be good. And again, if the Liberty play their cards, I feel like you go after a Jordan Canada, and maybe you could possibly figure out a way to re-sign Sammy Whitcomb for shooting, for exceptional shooting, and then we'll go from there. But both teams, the super team era is here.
Yeah, and we're going to get right into that. That's actually our next subject too. But Dan, you mentioned Hang Zhu K-Dot. We waited 26 minutes to mention the 6'10" Hang Zhu.
Yeah, it's
the demon time, bro.
It's scary. Listen, it's scary hours on the East Coast and the scary hours on the West Coast. I don't care what nobody say. Scary hours. If they get it together and they got the facilities from a training camp standpoint to get it together, I know it's going to be like maybe 2.5 weeks or something, but come on, bro. This is going to be crazy. I can't wait for the summer. Wait for the summer.
Yeah, definitely. I cannot wait for the summer. That might be the name of this podcast. I cannot wait for the summer because you got to understand like the excitement, and this is what it's about too. And we're going to move on to the super teams right now. We're going to talk about it, right? Like, what's your thoughts on the impact of super teams, right, in the W, especially like on super teams? Like, what's your thoughts on that impact, like the excitement and everything? Like, how you feel about it? Should it be, do you think that there's enough to actually have more super teams, or do you think that it's just going to be 2?
My idea of super teams, let me be quite frank about this.
Okay.
Super teams in sports are needed, period.
Yes.
The reason why super teams are needed is because you want to have something for fans to talk about. You want to have something for fans to hate. Hate breeds chaos.
Yes.
Chaos breeds money. Money breeds potential revenue. Revenue brings the possibility of expansion.
Yes.
When you continue to go and build the pyramid of success, it has to start with something that is considered the quote unquote villain. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
And the villain in this standpoint for the WNBA are the super teams. A lot of people are not ready for super teams. But again, imagine your favorite team getting tickets to see the Las Vegas Aces or the New York Liberty with those stars. Imagine the amount of revenue that helps your team. Imagine the amount of publicity it helps with your team, because guess what? The Heatles are coming to your town.
Yes.
If you think about the Jacksons are coming to your town. They're talking about it right now. Beyonce is coming to your town. When you think about it from that standpoint, think about it from a money building, a business standpoint. You have to say, oh, I hate that they assembled this, but it's must-see TV.
Yeah.
It is must-see TV. Whether it's a blowout or whether it's that team that's going to come in and beat them. Because guess what? They got a target on their back every night. And they're literally, it's almost like watching the Minnesota Lynx of the 2010s come into your town.
Yeah.
With Maya Moore, Simone Augustus, Lindsay Whalen, Rebecca Brunson, and Sylvia Fowles. That's like seeing them coming. It's like seeing the Houston Comets come to town. It's like seeing the Detroit Shock come to town.
Consider the Detroit Shock a super team?
I don't consider them necessarily a super team, but they had a squad.
They had a squad, yeah.
All right, I'm going to throw it out there. Cheryl Ford, Katie Smith,
of course,
Deanna Nolan, Swin Cash, Planette Pearson. That was a squad.
Yeah, that's a squad right there.
That was a squad.
That's facts.
In that early to mid 2000s era. I think that, and even, you can't forget about the 2014 Phoenix Mercury. Candace Dupree, Diana Taurasi, Penny, Cappy and Penny, and BG. Like that, that was a squad. That was a squad. I just think that from that perspective, yeah, super teams are needed, and super teams aren't a surprise to the WNBA. I just named 4 or 5 teams that had like superstar players on that squad. It's nothing to slouch over. I just truly think that from that perspective, super teams are needed. But I do want to
also the potential super team, Kate. You talked about it on Off the Bounce. Last year's Phoenix Mercury.
Yeah, even though it didn't really come into fruition. Tina Charles, BG, DT, and Skylar Diggins-Smith. Yeah, that was definitely super team. That was definitely super team worthy. Yeah. Come on. Again, super teams were always here. If you think about it, if you go through the history of the league, super teams had always been in the forefront. Maybe the education wasn't there for a lot of fans, or isn't there for a lot of fans. If you go back to those early years, you're going to look at those names, and you're going to, oh my God, she was on that team? Oh my God, she was on that team? It's there. Yeah. Enough of me talking about my opinion on the super team. I need to hear your opinion on the super team.
I love it, Kate. I've been screaming for it since we started the show. I want to see it. I think it brings the excitement to the league. It's going to bring the fans, like you saying, everything that you're saying. I totally 100% agree. But also, I want to see something else too, Kate.
Let's talk.
I want to see Tina Charles on one of these two teams. I want to see Tina. I want to see this, Kate. This is what I want to see. I want to see Tina Charles talk to them, be like, all right, listen, whatever it is, I'm ready to just chill and end my career on a good note, because I think that Tina Charles is great. But I know a lot of people like I don't know the behind the scenes stuff that goes on, but I know that she's lost. You know how when people go by when media goes by the Q score as far as like your popularity. I guess her Q score dropped tremendously or whatever is going on. And so, women's basketball community is a very small community. Excuse me. If they feel slighted about something, then they're gonna hold that grudge against you for a little minute. And I feel like from me being I wouldn't say volatile basketball player, whatever you want to call it, somebody that's not afraid to voice.
Passionate.
Yeah,
Extremely
yeah.
passionate.
I think that sometimes, like with Tina, I think that people just throw her to the wayside like too quick. At the end of the day, she's a talent, and I think that it takes the right coach to help her, to bring her in and be like, hey, we want to win this championship. And also, when there's a super team full of vets, these players know how to police themselves. Listen, Kata, I'm actually currently watching the Last Dance again because I'm just bored. I want to watch some Jordan content and how they brought around Dennis Rodman and let him be him, but also knowing that they was able to rely on him when he comes to the team and everything too as well. I think that with a player like Tina Charles, you know what you're getting. You're getting amazing talent, and you're going to get a volatile personality. But also, Tina got to realize this too as well. Be you, but also be there when it matters. I think that they got to. It's talent at the end of the day. That's how I feel as a coach. Me, it's talent. I would know how to deal with it. I'd be like, listen, Kata, listen, I'm Ron Artest's brother. I've seen coaches deal with this man's personality, from Isaiah Thomas, Rick Carlisle, Rick Alderman, and Phil Jackson deal with this dude's personality and was able to keep him reined in, but as well as letting him do his thing whenever he wanted to. Ron didn't want to play. There was some games Ron didn't want to play because he didn't want to play. He didn't play. But he worked out. He trained hard. He got his hours in the gym, but he just didn't want to play in the game. He was still locked in, regardless of whatever you think that he's going to do. There's a risk, there's a risk. And I'm not trying to say that compare them to Tina to my brother or nothing like that, but I'm just going by off of what the community says about Tina Charles and her attitude. I think that in the right place, that Tina Charles will be fine. And on a winning organization like these two potential teams, it'll work. And she wasn't an issue in Seattle, right?
No, she
exactly. She wasn't an issue in Seattle. Like you got to have players like that want to win, that want to win, and they're comfortable with that because now their mind is occupied and focused and staying locked in on one thing, the end result. That's what Tina Charles would bring, and I think that she would be great on either of these teams. You can't put her in a losing situation, though. That's the thing. That's the thing. You can't put her in a losing situation. I would like to see that. I would love to see that. Now, you talk about a villain. Whoever does that would be the villain. But also, Kate, we love women's basketball. We got to cover this too when we're speaking about villains. The Aces, bro, really might be some villains this season because of the stuff that's going on with them and De'Arica Hamby. And disclaimer, obviously, we're not women, we are men, and we know that it's a sensitive situation. As we're reading the situation when De'Arica posted that Instagram carousel on what went on there, it's kind of bad. I just hope that they could come. This is how I feel about that whole situation, K-Dot. Like, if it comes out as true, which I don't think that she's lying or whatever, but if the stuff come out, it's going to look ugly. And that's going to be like the villain type of thing, but it's going to be an unfortunate, bad villain type of vibes. I don't want to see that type of vibes now. I want to see the good villain type of vibes where Tina Charles is coming through and obviously a lot of people don't like her like that, and it's going to be quite interesting. But the Vegas, they got a lot to answer for this offseason and things regarding the off-court stuff too as well. But I just thought that I'd just bring that in there real quick, just because we love De'Arica Hamby, bro.
Absolutely.
We high on her. We support her.
And just to briefly expound on that, I want a lot of people to understand that you need to separate the organization from the players. The players have absolutely nothing to do with the situation at hand between said player and the organization. You keep that completely separate. And a lot of fans and a lot of people who don't necessarily like that whole idea, they don't know how to separate the two. This has become a matter in which a business entity or corporation has to deal with an employee. That's the situation. It has nothing to do with basketball at this point. Now you go, and if violations have been deemed from corporation and an employee.
Yeah.
Please learn to separate the two and do not bring anybody who has absolutely nothing to do with the situation at hand in it. Please.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. You know what I feel about it? And I think I talked to you about this before when we was on the phone. I felt like the Las Vegas Aces in that situation, if, everything come out to light. And what I think it is, I think that the Aces operated as a basketball team only and not as a corporation. Where in the United States, there's a lot of protections on certain things like workers' comp, women's stuff, and workplace discrimination. I thought that the Aces really just jumped the gun and acted like a basketball team instead of an actual business. And now they're going to be left holding that grenade. That's a lot of things. If that's true, you know, I would say I wouldn't even go as far as, listen, everybody got to go in upper management. That's dangerous. Because
Very
think about it,
dangerous.
K-Dot, because if it was a regular job and that happened, people getting sued, people getting fired. And
The reputation will be tainted for
it's
sure.
going to be tainted for sure. Yeah, exactly. Like, we that's why we publicly making a stance and be like, yo, we support Derek and Hamby. And also wishing her well as she goes on to the Sparks. And I'm happy for her when she comes back. And I think that she's going to have a huge chip on her shoulder. I think that we're going to see stuff, part of her game that we've never seen before. I think that she's going to have a great season when she comes back and, from a pregnancy, which congratulations, by the way.
Absolutely.
And everything. And I hope I get to go to LA. I want to meet little Amaya and everything. I think that she's pretty cool. She's the face of the league, if anything, to be honest. She's the face of the league. And having her in LA, and there's going to be a lot of opportunities for her in LA and everything for her to do her thing. It's going to be an interesting summer. And also, it's official as well with Brittany Sykes with going to Washington. Chrissy Talifer is going to Washington also. Like, there's a lot of movements for her today. I actually hit Brittany up yesterday. I said, yo, congratulations on the stuff. And she hit me back, yo, thanks or whatever. And that was pretty cool. It's gonna be a fun season, K-Dot. It's gonna be a fun season. I just cannot wait to see like the marquee matchup. That's it. The marquee matchup. Collision course. I ain't expecting nothing else. But like, I know before we go, because I know we got to go soon. Like, what's your thoughts on the media coverage of everything? Because it's been wonky with the whole media coverage and everything. And I know that we've been talking about it. You've been frustrated about it. I'm frustrated about it too as well on certain things. Like, what's your thoughts on everything and how the media has been covering things as far as the mainstream and independent?
Yeah, one thing that we don't want to ignore is again the independent WNBA media personnel that has been working tirelessly. We know one in particular who hasn't even slept. If anything, 30 minutes to an hour of sleep, making sure that we're checking on them, making sure that they aren't filled with anxiety by giving certain jokes said person can laugh and feel good. I think that from a coverage standpoint, again, coverage is always important, and you and I, we're very heavy on coverage, so we're going to do our thing from an independent standpoint. But from a mainstream standpoint, I still want to see better. I still want to see better for this league. I still want to see better for the players. I still want to see better for the fans because the fans deserve this. If we can get more of our mainstream medias to bring in more shows. I even mentioned it maybe about a week ago, bringing in certain shows. And shout out to Amazon Prime too, because the Power Hour has done it. Shout out to Ari, shout out to Tarika, shout out to Christina. Like, they're on these shows. And what I want to see more of is these same shows representing women's sports for us, women's basketball, because it's a great product to show off. And to have free agent coverage, right? I think that's one thing that's prevalent, right? But then it's another thing to continue to expound on it, to continue to amplify it. I do want to see more from mainstream media, but to be honest with you, I'm at the point where, listen, we got to be at the forefront now, and we just got to do what we have to do in order to provide pristine content to the people, because the people, I feel like they do love us as well, and we are huge advocates, and we just need to continue to do our things. At this point, I'm not too concerned about mainstream media. I'm concerned about us bringing the great content and better content for the people to listen to. That's my little spill on it.
Hey, and that's a dope spill on it too. That we definitely need, like, I'm pro independent media, and this what keeps the train moving. I just feel like with mainstream they don't really cover it as much. There's a lot of shows on those major networks that don't even take out a little segment to promote this stuff. Why? on those segments, on them said shows, like, hey, we got this going on this morning, whatever, or have them come on and announce their decision and everything. But we got to move on real quick. We got actually a question, Kate. Like I said, we are live on Facebook. We got a question from Big Baby Jonathan from the Big Baby Jonathan Show. My guy, what's going on? He says, who do you think going to win the MVP next year in the WNBA? Kate, like, all right, too early, but go ahead. Who do you think is going to win the WNBA MVP next year?
It's way too early, but I honestly do not know. Ah, my God. Big Baby Jonathan, I do not know. There's a couple names that I want to say. Obviously, the front runners are going to be Asia, JJ, Stewie. Even Candace Parker is probably going to be in that conversation. Chelsea Gray is going to be a part of that conversation for sure. I'm not going to sleep on Alyssa Thomas in Connecticut at all. There are a good bit of names that can be a part of that. I'm gonna just give you those names. I'm throwing it right back to DA. Who do you think?
I think, you know what, until they take it from her, she's going in as my MVP, WNBA MVP next year, and that's Asia Wilson. I think that she's just only going to get better. That's it. I really feel like that. I feel like unlike everybody else, she's staying home, getting a lot of rest, getting a lot of training, able to work on her game individually. She's always adding on something else to her game. Now I want to see what does she needs to add next to take her game even more. Think about it, Kate. She's in her mid-20s. She's young still. She has a long ways to go to get better. And even if she improved that three-point shot again, it's going to be different. And I just feel like also with Candace Parker being there, like, they're going to share the defensive load. I think that a lot of responsibility, like shared responsibility between them two, is going to open up Asia's game a little bit on the offensive end. I feel like that. But also, if I want to talk about it from a Jonquel Jones side too as well, we've seen what happened when she played on a team, and when she won it in 2021, she was elite. She was a 20-10 type of player. She played on a team that actually moves the ball a lot, and that's what she's going to get playing with Stewie and playing with Breanna as well. It's going to be a lot of ball movement. It's not going to be just stagnant and just trying to get assists. Not saying that Alyssa Thomas is a stat patter, but she plays at a deliberate pace. There's going to be a lot of movement with them. And that's why we go back. Jordan Canada is important too as well, because she moves that ball too as well. But I'm gonna stay with Asia Wilson repeating as MVP. But I would say Jonquel's gonna have a big season, as well as Stewie too as well, and Alyssa Thomas too. And I want to see like how she does in Connecticut now that it's her team now. You know what I'm saying? And see how she goes from there. But that's all we're gonna give y'all today. We want to thank y'all for tapping in with us on Keeping It 9450, codename WBB. This is our first live show, Kate. What you think? I think it was a success.
Oh yeah, it was definitely dope, and the amount of interactions. We thank everybody for your reactions, and we're gonna keep doing what we do to give the people what they want.
Yeah, definitely. Shout out to everybody that was in the comments. Big Baby Jonathan, Vince Saez, my father was in the building. Shout outs to Dad. I love you. But yeah, that's all we got for y'all today. We getting out of here. Y'all be safe. Love is love. Peace.
Peace out.